guys, welcome back to my channel and another Topic Tuesday here. Today's topic is the most surprising polishes to you. When I saw this topic, I was like, what does that mean? You know, like it's kind of open to interpretation. Maybe it was like a little bit intentionally vague. So I'm going to give you what my definition of surprising polishes is for the context of this video. Basically, what I'm going to be talking about are 5 polishes that I bought for one reason or another. Maybe they were just cart toss-ins, maybe it was to get free shipping or something like that, that they only ended up being standouts to me after I got them in my hands, after I had painted them on my nails, you know, after I had gone through the whole thing. They weren't, I didn't buy them because they were standouts. I just kind of bought them to buy them, which kind of a, you know, bad habit. And it was once I got them home that I was like, whoa. Like, for example, you guys have heard me talk about this one recently. When I bought Grandpa's Garden, I was gushing over that polish from the beginning. I was excited about that. That polish shocked me right off the bat. I was like, this one is the polish of the year for me. I love this polish. I gotta have it. That was before I even paid for it. You know what I mean? It was like, I already knew I loved that polish. So that is not an example of something that would make this list. These are all polishes that, like I said, were grabbed on a whim. Maybe I was kind of on the fence about when I purchased them, but then they have either become like staples or standouts in my collection that I just am like, I gotta have these. So now that we've defined our terms, let's get into my top 5 most surprising polishes in my collection. And as per usual, I have cheated. And number 5 is not so much a polish, but an entire brand in general. But we'll get into that at number 5. So number 1 is going to be DRK Nails Light Tricks. Now this one is surprising to me because, you know, I buy a lot of purples. Purples don't really like throw me for a loop anymore because I have so many. I know I like them before I get them. So it's not like I dislike them, but it's just like I buy it because I know I'm going to like it because it's purple. So I just know that it's going to be good. This was from, I think, my second polish pickup. This was September 2021 polish pickup. And I picked it up because I was like, oh, you know, one of my things with polish pickup is I try one new brand every time I purchase, just so that I can kind of sample from several indie brands. And so this one was kind of the brand of the month where I was like, let me try something new. And DRK Nails was new to me. And I was like, well, it's a purple. I know I'll like it. So it's a new brand. I can try that and everything will be great. And I ordered it and I was like, okay, we're done. Yep. Wait a month. Here it comes. And then when I got it and I cracked open the package, you know, the first thing I do is I put them all on swatch sticks to dry so that I can add them into my swatch ring mess over here. And as I was painting this on the swatch stick, I was like, what is that? What is going on? Because, and I harped on this one for like 3 months afterwards, but it's just insane. It's this purple jelly base with, at that point, these were some of like the biggest shards that I feel like I'd ever really seen. Not the biggest, but they were just like really big, really contrasting in the bottle here. You can maybe not see it because it's a little bit dark in here, but you can see on my picture, as obviously the purple nails, not the orange nails, it just blew me away. And so then I was instantly like, well, I have to do a manicure with this, which is what this, you know, became. But I just, even now, I don't know if this was just, this was kind of my big foray into indies. This was the kind of the beginning of really delving into indies. And at that point, I didn't have a ton of indie flakies. And now I'm pretty familiar with like flakies and indies are kind of like, you know, they're best friends. They go hand in hand. But this was one of the first ones that I got. And so I think that that's really what made it stand out is I just didn't have a lot of experience with these types of polishes yet. And I was just in love. And now when I think of the purple category in my nail polish, this is like the first one that pops into my head because it's just, I still remember painting it on and being like, huh? Like that's a real thing that you can do. And so, you know, I just love this polish. It's definitely one that surprised me. I just realized like this probably sounds so dramatic, but honestly, like, I don't know. I get excited about this kind of stuff, you know? So for number 2, we have what I'm sure most people are probably going to think is a pretty tame one. And that is Essie's Chin Chili. This is one I picked up really early on in my nail polish collecting. And at that time, I just didn't really care about like the more neutral or like, I guess, plainer colors. And so this was the first more like trendy, chic type of polish that I bought for myself. I remember the only reason I really even thought to pick this up was because I used to watch a lot of like brand favorites and like brand staples videos from a lot of nail polish YouTubers. And I would also look up like blog posts, like what are the ones that you have to have from each brand? What are the standouts from each brand? And a lot of people, when they talked about Essie, they said chinchilli. And so I was like, well, they told me I have to have it, so I have to have it, right? Like that's how that works. And so I ended up buying it, and then it just kind of sat on my little nail polish. I had like one of those, kind of look like a little staircase where you set all the acrylic rack. That's the word, the acrylic rack. It sat on my little acrylic rack. And I kind of justified buying it because I'm like, well, I should have, you know, some grown-up colors, right? Like I should be an adult, right? And that's lame, don't do that. But yeah, I picked it up, and then finally one day I was like, well, I haven't worn this one yet. And that was back when I had a reasonable amount of untrieds, which will never happen to me in my life ever again, but I digress. And so I tried it on and I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is really, really pretty. I don't know what it is about this color. It's like a gray with, would you say like purple, like slightly purpley tones in it maybe? Like that's how I feel when I look at it. Maybe that's why I like it, because it's got like a secret purple vibe to it. But it also doesn't hurt that, you know, it's called chinchilli, and it definitely has that chinchilla tone color. And I love this polish so much. Let me tell you guys, this is the only polish that I have ever completely used up a bottle of and then repurchased it. Like this, it's just this one. This is the only one. Every other polish that I've used up, I'm just like, it's okay. I have other colors that look like that. This one, no, I was like, I have to have Essie's Chinchilli again. And I'm so annoyed because I bought my second bottle right before Essie announced that they were changing their brush. So it still has that stupid tiny brush, but oh well. I'll just use this one up and then I'll buy the one with the wide brush. I just think it's so funny that this is a color that I just bought because I felt like I had to have it because that's what everybody did. You know, you have to have this Essie staple, and then it ended up becoming a top color in my collection, and now I see why so many people are like, yes, this is the Essie staple. Next, we have another cream, and this one may shock you because it is in fact a red. This is Moxies Truth. Now, I love the way that red nail polish looks on the nails. It's just that for some reason, when it comes time to apply or remove red nail polish, I just go full on goblin mode, and I'm just like, I know, let me just paint up the back of my hand and get it in the cuticles, and then when it comes time to remove it, I'm like, let me just go like this, and just, it gets everywhere. It's on my face somehow. Like, I don't know. It's almost like I'm self-sabotaging. I'm just like, it's fine, it'll be fine, and then it's definitely not fine. And yes, I bought clips, and yes, I'm gonna take it off the right way, but I just have to get over this wall of my fear of applying red nail polish, you know? But yeah, because of my goblin instincts, I kind of try to save red nail polish for more like special occasions so that, I don't know, I just don't make a mess. It's really silly. But there's just something so like classically beautiful about having those bright candy coat red nails with a matching red lip, and like maybe you're wearing all black. It's just like a really classic look, and so I love it. And my go-to polish for that was Essie's Forever Yummy. That was just like my candy colored red. I loved it. It was kind of glossy and it was like super pretty, and it was the perfect red for me and what I wanted to do with it. And I was like, okay, I have my red. I never have to look for another red again. We're good. We're all set. And then one day last year, Moxie Nail Varnish reached out to me, and they were like, hey, would you like to sample some of our polishes and give us feedback? And that was really my first, I think, big PR moment. And I was like, why, yes, I do. Like, that's really cool. And I really liked the message behind the brand. And so they ended up sending me 4 polishes. And when I opened the box, my heart dropped into my stomach because I was like, oh no, they sent a red. And I was like, how am I going to take good swatches of this? I'm going to make a huge mess. I'm going to let this person down. And it's just going to be like, oh, you know, they're never going to want to talk to me again. And so I was like, okay, I'll swatch this one last so that when I inevitably make a massive mess, you know, we'll be done after that. But from the moment I started applying it to my nail, I was like, whoa, hold on. Like, let's back it up. Because it was just the perfect creamy candy cherry red. I was like, man, could you imagine a lipstick this color? It was super glossy. It applied super easily. Essie, you know, I love Forever Yummy. I like the color, but Essie formulas are just so like hit or miss. And when I say hit or miss, they're like miss or miss for me. Like Essie just doesn't do well for me. It chips really quickly. Forever Yummy chips in like a day and a half for me sometimes. And so this gave me the exact color I wanted in a extremely better formula. And it was just like so unexpected for me. So I literally like was like, all right, Essie, we're gone. And I like whipped it out of its throne and I was like, all right, Moxie, here you go. And Moxie Truth is my new favorite red of all time. I can't imagine that this will be usurped ever again because I don't try a lot of reds, to be honest. But it's just, this is their old bottle. So now all the bottles come with like the white cap. But it has a similar brush, I think, to the Essie. But the formula is so much better that the brush does not matter. And now they have a slightly wider brush too. So if you order Moxie Truth, then you will have the better brush. And if you are interested, I do have a code to save a little bit of money at checkout. It is mediocre, and I always do have it linked in my description box. But that has nothing to do with why this is my favorite. I just really, really love this red. Number 4, we have Live Love Polish Rue Morgue. And, you know, I've mentioned this one a handful of times on my channel ever since I acquired this one. But I really, really slept on the brand Live Love Polish, and I am kind of disappointed in myself. I waited until the very end to actually really make any kind of legitimate purchase from the brand. You know, I think I bought the SpongeBob Trio on a whim, but after that, you know, I just kind of didn't pick up anything, and then they were having their big rebranding into Mooncat, and so everything was on sale, and I was like, well, let me just buy a bunch of nail polish on the cheap and check out this brand, even though it's not going to exist anymore. That makes sense. So I literally sorted by price lowest to highest, and then I went through all the really cheap ones, and I was like, and I'll take that one, and I'll take that one, and maybe that one over there. And I put them all in my cart, and I had them shipped, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, now I have some LLPs, and I'll try them out. And I swatched Rue Morgue, and I was like, oops, because this color is so amazing. And I'm like, do they have other stuff like this? Did they do this formula for other colors? Did I really, really miss out? I still don't know the answer to that because I didn't really look into it, but I just love this color so much. And I don't think I'm alone, because this is one of the colors that they brought into their rebrand as Mooncat. So they still sell this particular shade. It's just in a different bottle is all. And I think it's more expensive. Sometimes when you are buying polish online, it is just really hard to know what it's going to look like in real life. You know, your monitor, everybody's monitor kind of shows colors in a different way. The way that the lighting is in the photo, the person taking the photo, the way they painted it on their nails, and, you know, the contrast with any skin tone, it can make it look just a little bit different. So I didn't really think twice when I threw this in the cart. I was just like, oh, I like the name, Rue Morgue, and then it was cheap, so I threw it in. And even when I got it and pulled it out of the box, I was like, yeah, it looks fine, cool, whatever. And then it was when I swatched it, I realized like this, it dries down matte, which I didn't even know when I bought it. I just bought it. And it dries down matte, and it's got that like shimmer like look to it, because it is a shimmer. That's why it has the shimmer look to it. So it's a matte shimmer, and I always forget when you put a matte top coat over like shimmers and flakies and things like that, it shows it in a completely different dimension and a completely different light. And it does this thing with this polish where it almost looks like it's glowing. Like the matte, when it dries down, I don't know if you can see in this picture, but it just looks a little bit like it's radiating just a little bit of a soft light. At least to me, it looks that way. And it just looks so vibrant on the nails for as dark of a color as it is. So when I saw it on my computer screen, I was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. But man, when I got it on the nails, it was a completely different polish to me, a completely different experience. And I just think it's so funny how that happens. And, you know, lucky for us, they kept this one in the rebrand, so I will try to link it down below for you guys. And then finally, my cheating one is the entire brand, To Be Frank Nails. Now, I have only 3 colors from this brand. I have Gum, which is this pink right here. I have Boot Camp, which is this army green, so aptly named. And then we have a blue, which is Evil Eye. And this is what I like to call the kind of like blue screen of death blue, but it's also kind of similar to my hoodie that's not mine. I stole it from my boyfriend. But the reason why I put this brand on here is because initially I purchased these 3 polishes just for a review. Like, the brand intrigued me when I saw the marketing on Instagram, and the more I looked into it, the more I was kind of like, you know, what's going on? What's the deal with this brand? And so I placed an order for 3 polishes. And I did my review, and I had taken the swatch photos, but not really like worn them in depth. And that was kind of that. That was really early in my channel before I really kind of got my format down, I think. And over the several months that I've owned these and worn them, my opinion has changed pretty dramatically on the brand. I think I was kind of critical of the pricing and just some of the ways that they advertise themselves. And actually, several weeks ago, the brand owner reached out to me and they were like, hey, we saw your review from like several months ago. And I was like, oh no. Like, it always like throws me off when like the things I talk about, like I see these brands as like just like way over there, way much bigger, disconnected from me than they actually are. And so when then they actually see the stuff that I'm like saying, I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, I don't know. Did I say something weird? Like, there's a lot of stuff that comes out of my mouth that I realize much later I probably should have said aloud. So I'm like, oh no, are they mad? But no, they had a lot of really good feedback from me, and I was glad that they reached out. You know, they addressed some of my concerns about like the pricing, and they had just said, you know, the cap here is a custom cap, and so that's part of the reason why the price is higher, and also because they are vegan and cruelty free, the pricing is a little bit higher for vegan ingredients. But it's funny because in the time between writing or filming the review and having the brand write to me, I completely changed my opinion on the price because I'm way more immersed in the pricing of indie polishes. So I understand that certain ingredients are more expensive, and I understand that customizations of like bottles and things like that, labels and all that, can be very expensive. And the reason why I like these bottles in particular, the cap. The cap is rubberized and it is quite big. You can see, here's my hand, here's the size of the cap, and it's very easy to open if it's stuck because it's rubberized, and it's very easy to hold because it has a really big cap compared to something like, say, you know, this like skinnier DRK. So if you have mobility issues or just difficulty like grasping things, this might be a good way to, you know, paint your nails. And maybe that's still not a possibility. It depends on your level of mobility and what you have. But I did think of that initially with the caps. And they explained to me like why shipping was a little bit higher and just gave me a little look behind the scenes. And it was all really cool. I've had one brand that reached out to me and it wasn't necessarily rude, but it came off as a little bit snippy, I guess. And this was not the case at all. I was super happy to have them reach out to me and explain everything and all that. So my opinion definitely changed on To Be Frank. It was a slow surprise, to be sure, but I like their marketing. I like their polishes. You know, this, I don't think they have anything but creams, but they've been solid. They are long wearing for me. I do think it would be interesting to see what else they do though, but out of these 3 colors that I have, this one here, Evil Eye, is my favorite because the color is like dead on for the name. You know, all the names are done pretty well. So yeah, just overall, my initial reaction to this brand and like my preconceived like notions about it and all that compared to today, complete 180. And so this was a sneaky surprise from an entire brand. And then just one honorable mention because I'm completely exhausted by these types of polishes right now, but this one did legitimately surprise me because I was really, really fence sitting on the whole trend, is Cinnabon Sugah by Dany Vianna. And I like the reflective glitters. I think they're fine. I wasn't sure about them initially just because, like I said, I'm like, man, these pictures look fake. And I like them now, but I would never actively buy them just because they're a reflective glitter. But when I got the by Dany Vianna Cinnabon Sugah polish and I swatched it, I was like, whoa, this is way cooler than I expected it to be. So I just figured I would give it a little honorable mention because I can't help but go over the limits that I have set for myself. So those are all my surprising polishes. Let me know down below what polishes you have that surprised you, maybe in a good way or even a bad way. I couldn't really think of any polishes that surprised me in a bad way, aside from like a couple that like stained really weird, but to me, like, it's not so big of a deal. But let me know if you guys have had anything like that. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.